Right, hey guys, how are we doing? Back on another video from Swag Kage. Feels like it's been a while, but this one's an interesting one. This one is titled How Every Hokage Would Perform During the Nine Tails Invasion. So, this is basically going to be what I imagine is when Minato is when Minato is fighting Obito with the mask, with the invasion, with the Nine Tails. There's going to be like all the other Hokages in that situation, how they would have dealt with it. The way he's titled it doesn't make it like Obito versus as a straight up fight. It makes me think like how would they have dealt with everything else going on and what would the approach have been. So yeah, let's get into it.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Hey.
Swag Kage here, and today I have a brand new guest on the channel.
Ooh.
What's going on, guys?
Cool.
TG or Thunder God here. Thank you for having me on the channel. I'm a little nervous, but it's all right.
Nah, no need to worry, bro. This guy, for those of you who don't know him, makes really good Naruto videos. A lot of them are hypothetical situations, like the one in this video, actually, that I find to be particularly interesting. There's a friend of his, New Horizons, who actually, like, they made
How each Hokage would do against Obito's Nine Tails attack. Right, okay.
a pretty similar video. It was like asking the same question, right? How each of the Hokage would do in Minato's position against Obito. So that's where the idea for this came from. But we're gonna try to change it up a little bit just to make it so that, you know, like it's not the same video twice
Yeah,
back to
okay,
back.
fair,
We'll have
fair.
a couple bonus characters featured in here, but we'll start by focusing on the actual Hokage.
Nice.
So I guess we'll just go ahead and start with Hashirama, which
Alright.
is I guess it'll make the video a little bit anticlimactic, starting with one of the strongest cases
yeah.
so early on. Like, this is the first guy we're going to talk about. As many of you probably know, considering all his accolades and how people talk about him, of the Hokage, aside from Naruto, he definitely has the best shot here, right?
Yeah,
He's super
definitely.
strong. He fought Madara and the Nine Tails together at the same time.
So he already has knowledge on the Nine Tails and that.
The only issue he's going to run into is Kamui being so insane, because it doesn't really matter how strong he is if he literally can't touch his
him,
opponent.
yeah.
But I think that with Sage Mode and precognition and stuff, he'll be able to, especially considering how much chakra he has and how much, like how insane his durability is. Like, he just seems to have, like, a really, really, really insanely high level of, like, fortitude all around, not just in terms of like chakra, but in terms of, you know, like how long he'd be able to last fighting.
He could
right?
go
Like, he
for a
fought
long
Madara
time
for
fighting,
a full day.
Yeah, Jesus
for
Christ.
example. So I think that worst case scenario for him, he'd be able to outlast Obito, generally speaking, as like a broad overview of the fight. What do you think?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And you can maybe like derive a little bit off Madara for this. Now Madara kind of is able to counter Obito's Kamui effectively. Hashirama being able to constantly contend with Madara's evolving strategies, even gives Madara a little bit of credit with cloaking the QB. So you might be able to say something there, but I really do agree with you in outlasting and possibly even overwhelming the Kamui for 5 minutes straight, because Hashirama really should have no problem just continuously shooting attacks out and overwhelming Obito. And I'm not saying like overwhelming in the sense that like he's gonna.
I think he'll clock on that Kamui's got like you know, a timer, hasn't it?
Hit him when he materializes. He can if Obito tries it. But overwhelming in the fact that Obito's 5-minute timer is going to run out and he will be forced to materialize. In which case, he's not really going to have too much of an answer for any of Hashirama. And if Hashirama starts, like, grabs him with his Wood Dragon or any of his Wood Style, he's going to start suppressing his chakra. In which case, it's just not a good look for Obito in this situation.
Yeah. The other thing, too, is, like, some of you are probably asking, what about the Nine Tails? He has to fight he fought Madara and Nine Tails at the same time. It's a non-issue for him, right? And one thing that I would like to remind everybody about while we're talking about Hashirama is that it's not just that Hashirama was straight up more powerful than the Nine Tails, right? I mean, it definitely, like, you can argue that, sure, because he was fighting Madara and the Nine Tails together at the same time, right? But the main thing was that Hashirama has the Tailed Beast suppression ability with Wood Style. That's why Yamato was assigned to take care of Naruto and had the...
Yeah, of course, yeah, because he can just, if he started freaking out, he could, because he had Hashirama's cells,
seal on his hand to monitor how many tails Naruto was sprouting, because Yamato was the only person who could just naturally suppress the Nine Tails chakra. So as soon as his Wood Golem made contact with the Nine Tails, that was it. It was over. Right. So the Nine Tails is going to be a complete non-factor in this fight. Hashirama makes the Wood Golem. The Wood Golem taps him on the head, and he just, like, picks him up and chucks him out of the village or
Bye.
something. I don't know. With Obito, I think that, like TG said, Hashirama will probably be able to outlast the 5-minute timer. The only thing that you could argue for Obito, where like maybe this wouldn't be an issue, is I've seen some people say this, and I think that it's possible that Kamui works this way. Maybe the 5-minute timer isn't like... So if he ever materializes at all, it resets the timer. I'm pretty sure. I think it works that way, and he could probably like safely, if he's like
so every now and then just materialize, reset, go. So
measured and intelligent about it, rematerialize while he's far away from Hashirama, or he could try and teleport away. Granted, he has to materialize to teleport, so that wouldn't be super safe either. But, like, as long as he can put a decent chunk of distance between himself and Hashirama, he can reset the timer and get 5 more minutes to fight him. But it's going to be really, really difficult for him because Hashirama's super fast. With Sage...
Yeah, he's not going to let up. Like, if he realizes that he could reset, he's just going to have to keep going at him, and he can because of his durability and the amount of chakra he's got.
He might be able to sense when Obito, like when he's physically present and not in Kamui. So like I don't see more win cons for Obito than I do for Hashirama. He just has to get really lucky with Kamui, and I don't see it happening.
Yeah,
no.
I fully agree. I mean, it's pretty clear cut. He's impersonating the guy who Hashirama quite literally beat. It's just,
I was gonna say that too. Actually, one thing that's funny is Hashirama would be like, "You're not Madara."
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah, definitely. You just ain't him, bro. You ain't him.
When did he get the ability to phase through stuff and whatnot?
Yeah, he'd know as well. Yeah, he'd be like, "That's not an ability you had."
Where's his Susanoo? I don't know if he'd be able to save Mito from dying or anything, because like Minato couldn't save Kushina from dying. Like if this was Mito still in Kushina's place, of course. Anyway, I would say probably not. She would probably die from the extraction the same way Kushina was going to. If you want to say that like maybe Mito's giving birth and Obito shows up there before the Nine Tails even appears, I think Hashirama might actually just beat Obito like before Mito gets captured, maybe, but it would be pretty hard, especially because like Hashirama's not just going to be in Sage mode as like in that situation. So it probably would unfold the same way that things unfolded for Minato, where he had to like teleport back and forth, save Naruto, all that, and then he's like staring down the Nine Tails on top of the Hokage faces. That's how I think it would go. Regardless, though, I think the bottom line is just that Obito loses to Hashirama.
Yeah.
All right, cool. You have anything to add, or do you want to move on to what probably the most controversial character in the video?
All right.
Next up, we have Tobirama. Now, we kind of debated on like Alive versus Edo. We could talk about both for a second, but it doesn't really change too much in this option. Now, a lot of people, downplay Tobirama's strength. He actually is very strong.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he was Hokage, but still.
He's competing with Minato in the War Arc, competing with EMSAs, competing with Naruto. He's able to perform strategies with them. He's never getting outclassed. He shows great beats against Jubito, all of that. This is one of those situations to where, like, I just don't believe Tobirama's arsenal is suited for this particular task. And here's what I mean, right? Starting off, let's say we argue he's on top of the Hokage mountain. He doesn't have any way to really like teleport a tail beast bomb away from the village if the Nine Tails starts to fight like that. Like his flying Raijin has never shown, like he can like kind of replicate some of the stuff Minato does by manually marking it, but it's not like he has those like wide scale barriers, like, or he's showing the ability. You could infer that if you want. It's just never shown.
I was about to say, why didn't he bring this up with Hashirama? But Hashirama's no problem just taking the Nine Tails out straight away, and he's asleep. So yeah, that's fair.
In which case, like, you kind of have him not being able to fulfill the objective of being able to protect the elite from the Nine Tails, right? But let's say, for whatever reason, like maybe his water style is like that strong, which it isn't. Never say that. And he does like kind of deter the Nine Tails for a little bit. The problem is too is that he's not really equipped to like mess with Obito's BFR or like Obito like grabbing him with Kamui. And the reason I say this is because Obito has to manually mark his kunai. We see this because the same mark that he places on Jubito is the same mark that's placed on the kunai. And to take it a step further, the mark that's on the kunai is always in a different location. So we do know he's manually marking it, which is impressive that he can replicate Minato. But Minato has marked kunai pre-packed. So you already have to argue like Tobirama manually marked the kunai in advance. And then that like as he's getting sucked into the Kamui dimension after Obito attaches him or like catches him, he like throws up the kunai, teleports up, and then comes right back down on some Madara stuff, which I don't think he'd be able to do, especially since Minato stabs through Obito with the Mark Kunai, and Minato had to teleport to a kunai that was kind of far away from the village. So with these factors, it doesn't really seem likely that Tobirama can really deal with like Obito's BFR. If I took it a step further, right? If I took it a step further and was really generous to Tobirama, and let's say he goes into a 1v1 with Obito.
Okay.
Maybe he does like the Bringer of Darkness from the anime canon and kind of throw Obito off his senses. The problem is that he has no way of separating the Nine Tails from Obito like Minato does with the contract
can't break
seal. The
that
same contract
thing,
seal that permanently severed the Nine Tails from Obito to the point even in Shippuden like he didn't make any jumps for it. It's heavily implied actually that he was never able to like go after the Nine Tails because Minato had just permanently severed it. Tobirama has nothing in his arsenal to that. He has a lot of offensive jutsu like shadow clones, all his crazy water style, potential tandem paper bombs if he teleports out, but none of it is really like hacks enough to clear the objective or allows him to like deal with BFR properly. That's the real issue. It's not to say Tobirama's weak in any capacity because he's really strong. He
was the Hokage. He did make loads of jutsu, but yeah, he's right. It's like the way he's equipped and the way he works, he ain't dealing with this situation as well.
He chakra flexed EMS Sasuke, which if like you're just looking at that scene, like he made him scared, but he just doesn't have the proper equipment to defend the village from the Nine Tails, or really deal with Obito, or at the very like most charitable interpretation, separate the Nine Tails. You want to add to this? I went out for a minute. My bad.
No, you're good. I think that you gave a pretty comprehensive answer to how Tobirama would perform here. I pretty much agree with everything you said. A lot of people will say that he'd be able to use Flying Raijin to do the same things that Minato was able to do, like teleport away from being sucked into Kamui, or teleport above Obito and hit him with an attack, but it's heavily implied that Tobirama thinks that Minato's reaction speed, body flicker, and ability to use Flying Raijin just surpasses his own. So that split-second opportunity that Minato created for himself to hit Obito with the Rasengan and then follow that up with the contract seal, I don't see that happening for Tobirama. I don't think he's quite fast enough.
He's not as fast, to
do
deal
something
with that,
like that to Obito, right? Because, like, I mean, Kamui, like Obito, as soon as he activates it, right? Like, basically, as soon as he recognizes that he's about to take damage, Obito can activate it. Minato just had to be, like, so incomprehensibly, inconceivably fast after teleporting that Obito couldn't even perceive that he was about to get hit in time to activate Kamui. I don't think that Tobirama has speed on that level. People like to bring up the moment in the war when he teleports Jubito's attack away, when, you know, Ten Tails Obito is about to hit Minato when he's in the Nine Tails chakra mode. And they're like, yeah, you know, Tobirama's even faster than KCM Minato. But it's like, Minato was clearly, super duper obviously not in a good state of mind. He was super dazed.
He's dealing with the fact that it's
he just found out that his student,
you
know, like one of the people who he cared about raised, instructed us.
That's really going to put you off if you find out that the person that you fought all that time ago, that the person that's trying to basically destroy the world or take, been behind everything, is one of your students that you thought was dead. Like, that's really going to mess with your head. You ain't paying attention for a second there.
As a ninja. I mean, like, you can tell Minato liked Obito because of the conversation that they have in Kakashi Gaiden. And he found out that this kid tried to destroy the village, killed his wife, killed him, tried to kill his kid. You know, he's just like, oh my god. Like, like he felt like he didn't know how to process it.
No way, it's a lot to deal with.
And then as soon as he gets out of it, he's just back to, you know, giving Obito the hands. He's fighting in sync with like KCM Sage mode Naruto, you know. So like Tobirama's definitely not faster than KCM Minato. And it's implied, based on the fact that Minato gets to the battlefield first, that Minato's faster than him in base as well.
Yeah, they do mention that.
These horribly dark, depressing, you know, self-defeating
Third Hokage mentions the speed feat,
doesn't he? Tobirama's not faster than Minato. Please, like, let it go. He doesn't have the contract seal, like Thunder God said, so he wouldn't be able to separate the Nine Tails from Obito. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing here. You can assume maybe, like, oh, Tobirama's smart. He created Edo Tensei and Shadow Clone and Flying Raijin. Surely he has it, but you don't know. You can't prove it. So, like, we're not gonna say, like, it's not like actively choosing Obito's side or anything to say that Tobirama doesn't have something like this to help him. It's just that, like, we have to make up something, or just be like, oh yeah, he probably has it, like when there's no reason to assume so.
Yeah.
So and like I said, that's the biggest obstacle he has to overcome here is the Nine Tails, right?
Yeah.
Like the Nine Tails is really strong. I don't think that Tobirama with like raw stats and
He's
no
fighting
wood
the
style or
Nine-Tails,
anything that's equivalent to suppress the Nine Tails chakra is going to be able to stop it. Even if you remove Obito from the equation, I think that the Nine Tails would kill Tobirama probably in a one-on-one fight. So I'm gonna give it to Obito here.
I was gonna add, like, honestly, because I agree with everything you said. Even if you went like with more charitable stuff for Tobirama, right? Like even if you say like, he does something cool he does like that feat against Rinnegan Madara and he's that speed. Even if you somehow said Tobirama beat Obito, it doesn't change the fact that he can't beat the Nine Tails, and that's the real problem here. So even if we gave you like some extremely, if we're very like the,
if you're really, really charitable with this, and he does beat Obito, manages to figure out around Kamui and all that stuff, the Nine Tails are still gonna kick his ass.
most charitable to Tobirama and actually like did give him these higher levels, it still wouldn't change the fact that in this situation he would not be able to complete the parameters and defend the village. So yeah, it's not necessarily a situation of him being weak, just like he's not able to like really defend against all that's being thrown against him.
So if we want to talk about Edo Tobirama for a second here, I don't even know how this would happen. How like War Art Edo Tobirama, like that version of the jutsu.
Because like the one thing he has here is that like that whole paper bomb thing that just keeps going and going and going, doesn't it? But
specifically because I mean, like nobody had refined Edo Tensei to the point that Kabuto and I guess eventually Orochimaru did by the end of the Fourth Shinobi World War. At the time of the Nine Tails attack. So there would have to be some like time travel thing or something, right, where Tobirama is sent back in time with this new and improved version of Edo Tensei that revives him fairly close to his original level of strength. But anyway, assuming that somehow this weird, wacky situation does happen. I mean, I guess it's already weird anyway to put Tobirama up against Obito, who
in the first place
became evil during the Third Great Ninja War, which was like 2 world wars after Tobirama died. So anyway, this is a weird situation, but just ignore it. So who would win the fight if you just put Tobirama in the same spot? If you actually do think that Tobirama is faster than Minato, then I guess he would be able to beat Obito and then beat the Nine Tails by regenerating over and over and using, like, Tandem Paper Bomb. Now, what I'll say about Tandem Paper Bomb is that, so the big thing that people use to hype this jutsu up, it's the, like, where he attaches exploding tags to himself, and then
just
like
keeps
they
going
summon more and more and more, right? What people cite as like the big reason this jutsu is so crazy is that it cracked one of Hashirama's deity gates, and I believe that one of the Ten Tails Biju bombs wasn't even able to do that, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it should be stronger than anything that the Nine Tails could shoot out, which means it should be able to destroy the Nine Tails, right? So Edo Tobirama might actually have a case for being able to beat Nine Tails. In fact, I'd say that there's a strong chance that he could do it if he can tag him with Tandem Paper Bomb. The thing is, I don't think, and I'm pretty sure TG doesn't think, that Tobirama is faster than Minato.
Nope.
So I don't think it matters. I think he just gets sucked into Kamui.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things like, even if you said like he was, like for whatever reason you did go that interpretation route, it just like the arsenal isn't there, and even like Tandem Paper Bombs, like you said, like even if you argue like it's damaging the Nine Tails, which is a fair interpretation, I think that's fine. And there's also the question of like where the Nine Tails is, because if he's still inside the village or surrounding it, he just wouldn't use the jutsu. So
that's true as well. Because he'd be like hurting other
it's one of
people
those things
with
like
it.
Tobirama's really strong, just the arsenal isn't suited for this type of battle. Realistically.
He'd do better than like any of the modern day Kage, right? Like any of the Fourth War Kage that you put into this position, Tobirama would do better than them. Like, don't worry, Tobirama's not a slouch. He was, one of the strongest ninja who ever lived, but so is Obito.
Yeah.
And Nine Tails is also like, I mean, you saw like one half of it just clash with a tailed beast bomb from 6 other Biju at the same time.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like the same Nine Tails that's on the level of the wooden golem at Perfect Susanoo. It's a different level.
Craziness.
Next up, we have Hiruzen. And this is weird because Hiruzen was there the night of the Nine Tails attack. So I guess what, like, for this
Switch the roles around.
scenario, we can just assume that there is no Minato, and
okay.
Hiruzen has to do it himself. He loses, just straight up.
He gets obliterated, bro. There's that like what is old man like Hiruzen doing here? Like nothing at all. Like it just the stat difference is too. Listen, realistically, if you want to take it there, old man Hiruzen saw Minato's coffin coming up, and he's like, I can't let this happen.
Yeah,
bro.
he was all right. He's like, right, those two cool. All right, but that guy, nope.
No way. Instant defeat if Minato steps out of that coffin. Exactly, right?
Yeah.
And, this was about 10 years ago, about 12 years ago, and, Hiruzen says, oh, if I was 10 years younger, I would be able to, or it's either him or Orochimaru says that, like, if Hiruzen was 10 years younger, he'd be able to rip out Orochimaru's soul. So, 10 years younger Hiruzen would probably be around or above that Orochimaru level from the Chunin exams. And, like, we're talking about the full entire Nine Tails here, man.
Yeah, man.
Plus Obito with Kamui. And, like, Hiruzen just doesn't have the speed to put him on the...
That's true. I suppose his speed is not up to scratch for this one, is it?
Somebody like Obito, right? What's going to happen is he's going to see the Nine Tails while he's standing on top of the Hokage monument. I don't know what he's going to do about that first Biju bomb. Yeah. Assuming he does something to blow it away, Obito's going to teleport behind him. He's going to try to attack Obito like Minato did. Obito's going to catch his hand and suck him in the Kamui.
Yeah.
And he's got no way of getting
the battle
out.
ends.
There's not too like the most you could say is like maybe he like if because Enma, I'll say this too. Not a lot of people bring this up because a lot of people bring up like him pushing the Nine Tails out of the village. That's also a more prime Enma as well. Like not too many people bring that up. And it's like if you did argue Enma stayed the same strength, maybe like he pushes the QB's mouth up when he's like charging it, but like. Come on, man! Like, think about that. Like, how much I'm reaching just to give the case to Hiruzen. Like, it's like, even if I said that, like, Obito's surprise jump, like, people don't understand. You cannot stop that. Like, it's so strong. Like, in that you really have to have a lot. Like, you really need like space-time ninjutsu to really counter that. So now Hiruzen doesn't have anything to really deal with that.
Yeah. So another thing that, like, even if Hiruzen somehow lives through Obito teleporting behind him. Right? Like, if they engage in that open field, or pretty much anywhere, the same way that Minato and Obito fought each other, I don't think Hiruzen's prepared for, like, running at Obito phasing through him, and him getting caught by the chains. Because if Minato couldn't teleport there, that was it.
He would have been caught.
Had to immediately warp away, and Hiruzen can't do that. So, I just see way too many ways for Obito to win this.
Yeah.
Even if somehow Obito, like... No, actually, I was going to say... No, I'm not even going to give Hiruzen that. There's no way Hiruzen is hitting Obito here.
I'll put it like this. Naruto linking with Kurama is what Minato had always envisioned for him to fight the Obito that Minato had fought. So you kind of have to look at, like... Okay, Naruto like needs to, like, link up with Kurama, approach these, like, KCM2 or, like, Kurama link mode, however you want to say that. Is Hiruzen on that level? No, there's nowhere near that. So it's like that's kind of where like Naruto like needed to get the Nine Tails chakra. That's what Minato had always wanted. And that was
to fight Obito without the Nine Tails, by the way.
Or none of it with that, none of that. So it's like it's ridiculous. So yeah, Hiruzen's just not on that level.
So next Hokage would be Minato, but
no
happens. So after that we have Tsunade. Do you want to go ahead and start us out with Tsunade?
So I'm gonna.
Oh, we could do Kakashi as well, because I don't know.
This might be a hot take. I don't think she's punching a Biju bomb. I don't know, like, did you hear that? So the thing with Tsunade is, like, I actually think she might take a different approach in this matchup, especially if you have, like, if you include, like, Hiruzen in the situation, you're letting him deal with the matchup. She might take a more medical approach and actually begin to start healing villagers, like she did in the Pain attack, while letting, like, other Jonin and Ko fight instead of straight up fighting Pain herself. In which case, she loses because Obito just comes up behind her and just grabs her, in which case, like, again, she does nothing. If she knows Obito's there, she does nothing because he's faster. She's not able to attack him. Some people might say she's like Raikage level speed. I don't agree with that. Madara notes she's blatantly slower. Madara is also hard to judge in that fight because he lets a lot of stuff slide, and it gets a little harder to determine exactly what he's letting slide.
Yeah, he starts playing around with them a little bit.
It also doesn't help that he doesn't respect the Kage and is blatantly letting them, like, bash against his Susanoo. Like, he even notes like some of their jutsu isn't worthy enough to absorb. So I don't think there's too much to go off of there. In which case, yeah, Tsunade really just doesn't have an answer to BFR, or the Nine Tails really. Like, maybe you could argue she like punches it, maybe, but like, you know, that's kind of like their upper limits of her strength. And this isn't the work, so maybe you could argue this wouldn't even apply here.
Maybe not even that strong.
Susanoo ribcage, which is not as strong as the full Nine Tails. The Nine Tails is more comparable to the perfect Susanoo. So it just wouldn't. It doesn't translate. It doesn't translate at all. She doesn't really have a chance against the Nine Tails, Obito, and how she reacts in the situation isn't even an offensive role. My bad. Like that's the other way I see it.
No, I feel you. I'm like the biggest Tsunade fan ever. I really want to give her something here. But I don't see any way for her to beat the full Nine Tails or Obito in one-on-ones, and like she has to fight them both together.
Yeah, she's struggling. She's gonna struggle with that one.
Like 100 healings is crazy. She'll probably be able to eat some damage, but it doesn't matter because Obito can just suck her in.
Kamui.
Right, like
Kamui's such a broken technique, man. It's like, you go through everything and then you just go. But he's got Kamui.
So the thing is, like, AP and defense are completely irrelevant against him because, he has this infinite attack stat through Kamui where he can just pull you into his dimension and you can't get out. And he has this infinite defense stat also with Kamui because you can't hit him. So you just have to outspeed him, and she doesn't. Then, the Nine Tails is complete fucking monster.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not fair for her. Like, I feel bad. It's such a setup for Tsunade, but,
I could add, like, if Obito were a different fighter, there'd be more substance, because Tsunade does have some really nice, like, there's a scene where she tanks, like, Madara's Yoseka, like, Katana beads, all this crazy stuff, but, like, because his like, win condition isn't predicated on any AP or defense or anything like that, like Swag said, it's not in the cards.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not happening.
So, next up, we have Kakashi, and we'll talk about two different versions of Kakashi here. First, the actual, like, Hokage version of Kakashi, who doesn't have any Sharingan, and War Art Kakashi, who has the Mangekyo. Now, a lot of people don't seem to know this. I could be wrong, but a lot of people don't seem to know that Hokage Kakashi is actually stronger than War Kakashi. And this isn't like headcanon or whatever. It's said in his light novel, like, while, you see his escapades as Hokage and stuff, that he is, in fact, stronger than he was.
Is it because he's not having his chakra drained from having the Sharingan?
He fought Obito and Madara. But that doesn't really matter because, like, like, Kamui is his only way to interact with Obito at all. He doesn't have that, like, unless you are really charitable to him based off of his fight with Obito, he doesn't have the speed and, like, the reactions to, like, hit Obito, like, during the split second that he materializes. That's the problem here. Because it's like, you just have to be so much faster than Obito to do it. Because it's like, as soon as he even gets, like, a whiff of an incoming attack, bam, intangible again.
Does it help that Kamui is also, like, unconscious and can be passive at times, which also...
Yeah, like, he doesn't have to concentrate on doing it. It does work by itself, doesn't it?
Like, is a defensive mechanism for Obito, because it pretty much mitigates, like, the ability for anybody to, or most people to just straight up speed blitz him. Like, an example being how Ten Tails Madara has him right there, and he still phases through him. So, like, that added on to this just makes it so he can perform a lot of crazy strategies. Just to add on to that, because I know some people might grasp on the fact that, like, oh, Kakashi, like, stronger in the War Arc, maybe he scales like Minato or something like that. But again, like, Obito does have ways to mitigate that. That's the point I'm making. So you can continue.
I mean, yeah. So it basically the only thing that Kakashi has in his arsenal at any point in the series that would allow him to fight Obito here is Kamui in the war. I mean, I guess we could talk about DMS, Dual Mangekyo Kakashi, like when Obito's soul flew into him and he got both Sharingan, but that Kakashi was like speed blitzing Kaguya and stuff.
Victimizes Obito, bro. They're gonna Kamui through each other. He just gets victimized, bro.
Just the shurikens,
yeah, exactly. The Nine Tails and Obito,
like the Nine Tails away, and I'm like, yeah,
definitely. So, War Art Kakashi is more interesting because if he's able to figure out how Kamui works, he could actually start hurting Obito by like nullifying Obito's close range Kamui with his long range Kamui. The main problem with this is that he wasn't really able to do anything without Naruto as backup. Like, he had to teleport Naruto's Rasengan into Kamui, Then he had to teleport the Naruto clone into Kamui. He couldn't really capitalize on it by himself. And also, that was when they were just fighting Obito. The tailed beasts were all pulled back into the statue and everything. He didn't have a whole 9 tails to worry about. And by the way, even if he were fighting all of the tailed, even if he were fighting all of the tailed beasts at the same time, that wouldn't really help him. Like you wouldn't have more of an argument for him because like the 9 tails is just stronger than all of them combined, and that was half of it. So I don't really know what Kakashi's supposed to do about the 9 tails. He could teleport the 8 tails into Kamui, so maybe he could like teleport it all the way into Kamui. But I just feel like Kurama's fast enough to move out of the way, and like has because the thing is he teleported a willing 8 tails into Kamui. Not like he didn't do
Something
it
that's struggling
without
trying
consent,
to get out of the way.
So I feel like Kurama would be able to fight back against it, shoot a tailed beast bomb at Kakashi, and then Kakashi would have to jump out of the way. I just don't see this happening for him either at the point in time when he was Hokage or during the 4th War.
Something interesting to note too is that Obito can always pull back Kurama the same way Madara reverse summoned the Ghetto statue or just summoned it while Kakashi was actually Kamuing it. So it's like even if he sees like Kakashi trying this technique, he might just be able to pull the 9 tails away and like make sure this doesn't happen as well.
Wow,
so
yeah, okay.
even if like we said, he Kamui's the 9 tails BFR, it's not guaranteed because Obito's gonna be looking around, like he's waiting for his chance to get Minato in their fight. So Obito's gonna be present on the battlefield. Just a side point for anybody wondering.
Yeah, exactly. Also, Obito would suspect that Kakashi might have Kamui anyway because he knows that that's his Sharingan.
Yeah, that's true as well. Yeah, he'd be like, wait a minute, he might have the same ability as me potentially because he has my eye.
I mean, like everything's just lining up against Kakashi for this fight. Again, unless you use Domangekyo Kakashi, which is like a complete stomp in Kakashi's favor. But yeah, I don't see him taking this. So next up, we have Naruto. You can go ahead and introduce 7th Hokage Naruto.
Whoa, we didn't agree to this before the recording, guys. No, next, we actually have KCM2 Sage Mode Naruto. We think this is like the Naruto that you really kind of have to use in this situation because Naruto's very similar to Hashirama. To where like
it's just a stomp, right?
Yeah,
like, Hokage Naruto is just so unfair. There's nothing to say. He fought Kaguya. He fought Madara with the 10 tails. He fought Rinnegan Sasuke. He fought Momoshiki. And base, by the way. So I don't know how 14-year-old Obito is supposed to fight him, right?
Not at all. He's a completely different tier above Obito. That shouldn't be too questionable. So don't bring that in here. KCM2 Sage Mode's a bit more interesting because he's similar to Hashirama in a lot of ways. So for example, right, like let's say you start off with like having Naruto like sit on Minato's like on top of the Hokage monument. There is a couple things. He could actually just summon his own Kurama avatar and wrestle with the 9 tails a little bit to kind of subdue it before he tailed beast bombs. He's certainly fast enough. He's definitely faster than the 9 tails at this point. So he should be able to like dart across the battlefield, kind of like how he darts across and catches Madara and Obito when they're about to attack as respective senseis or something to that degree. So he definitely has a lot of capability here. The big thing is like Obito, right? Because the 9 tails we're not too worried about with Naruto. He should be fine against that.
He
should be able to 1v1 that. Obito's an issue. Naruto does have a lot of options now because this Naruto can summon clones. You can summon clones in KCM2 or Kurama Link mode. You can summon clones in regular KCM, or you can have a clone in Sage mode sitting inside the Kurama avatar, which would aid him in the sense that he's able to like kind of have an extra layer of sensory. Or he could just put himself in Sage mode and just have that same sensory buff. In which case, it's extremely difficult for Obito to get the drop on Naruto. We actually even see, like, in the war when Naruto's developed a bit more, Obito verbatim tries to grab him, and Naruto's, like, kind of acclimating to a point he can move away. So it's like Naruto's kind of approaching these points to where, like, he can just kind of get away from Obito before Obito grabs him, or he's just, like, that much faster. Or he just has sensory capabilities that allow him to combat. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that you can definitely argue that like War Arc KCM2 Sage Mode Naruto is stronger than Hashirama. Alive Hashirama is questionable, but Edo Hashirama he definitely seems to be because he's like fighting against Ten Tails Obito. And before Obito stabilized and started controlling the 6 Paths power, Hashirama looked at him and was like, yeah, that guy's stronger than me. And then, you know, again, he like stabilized, he got stronger. He got stronger as he adapted more and more to using the power. And then by the end, he's like holding the sword of Nunaboko in his hand at like absolute max power. And Naruto's still able to react to his attacks, dodge him. Like, they clash because Naruto's able to, like, you know, see one of his attacks and react with one of his own. He's being helped by Sasuke, but Naruto is definitely the one pulling the most weight there, right? Because, like, Sasuke is also getting helped by Jugo, and Naruto's sharing his chakra with all of his other teammates, like Lee and Ino and stuff. So, Naruto is no slouch. I don't think he was stronger than Jubito, but he was fighting him. He wasn't off the radar, like multiple tiers below or anything like that. So I think that, yeah, he should be fast enough and have enough foresight, thanks to Sage Mode, that maybe he can make clones, or if Obito tries to grab him and pull him into Kamui, he can use the cloak to attack Obito and create, like, extra arms, or make, like, a mini Rasen Shuriken or something like that. Right? Yeah. It's just really difficult for Obito to immediately dismiss this version of Naruto. So I actually think he has a fairly good shot at doing this. But, and again, this we're talking about, like, War Arc KCM2 Sage Mode Naruto right now. Because Hokage Naruto is just like a...
I just thought, I wonder now if they're going to do Shikamaru. You know, because of all the Boruto stuff.
Foregone conclusion that obviously he wins. You throw him up against anyone from Shippuden, maybe except Kaguya, but probably even including Kaguya, and he just wins. Usually he just wipes the floor with them.
Puts his feet up and lets a clone solos, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy, bro. It's crazy.
So, yeah, it's looking so far like the only people who can confidently, or who we can say confidently take the W here, are Hashirama and Naruto. What a surprise. The two strongest Hokage by far. Now, we have a couple bonus rounds in mind, because we didn't want to just talk about the Hokage. We also wanted to throw in some Hokage candidates here.
Oh.
So, the first one is Danzo.
Oh!
Danzo wasn't just a candidate. He actually was temporarily the Hokage. Like, he didn't get written down in the history books as one of the Hokage. He doesn't have his face in the Hokage Stone Monument. But there was a point in time where people were calling Danzo Hokage, and people thought he was going to be one of the Hokage, and then he got killed by Sasuke. So we'll say that he sort of counts for this. Yeah. He gets, like, bodied, probably. Like, we'll assume that it's, like, the version that was at the 5 Kage Summit, right? So he has this whole Izanagi arm, and it's, like, first of all, I don't even know how much that would help him against Kamui, because it's, like, so let's say he activates Izanagi, and Obito pulls him into the Kamui dimension. What happens? Does he, like, re-manifest outside? Because it's not like Kamui killed him.
Yeah.
He just teleported him into another dimension safely. So, like, does he come back out with Izanagi? And I mean, even then, like, what's he gonna do with 9 more attempts, you know? Yeah. And plus, it's like, how's he supposed to put down the Nine Tails?
Yeah.
Like, the only thing you could argue is that he uses Kodo Amatsukami. But, so, first of all, Obito didn't seem afraid of it, like, at all when they were at the 5 Kage Summit and Sasuke was fighting Danzo. Second, if Danzo even has Kodo Amatsukami ready to go is questionable here, because it's like, is this a Danzo that's currently the Hokage? It's probably got to be one that traveled back in time, like, because, like, he has the Uchiha Sharingan arm, right? So is it the one that fought Sasuke on the bridge? Is it the one from the start of the Kage Summit? I don't know, right? But even if he has Kodo Matsukami and he can use it, I don't know how much it would work on Obito, because it seemed kind of ass when he used it on Mifune. I've had a theory for a while. I've said this in videos before, that the eye that Danzo got and the eye that Shisui gave Itachi work fundamentally differently. Because Itachi's eye, like the eye that Shisui gave Itachi, sorry, it seemed like it required eye contact, because the series kind of highlighted when Itachi and the Crow made eye contact. And Itachi also knew and explained to Naruto and B that he was under the effects of Kodo Amatsukami.
So he was aware.
It, like, didn't matter. Even though he was aware, he still had to follow the instructions. It didn't, like, revert him to back under Kabuto's control once he figured it out. But with Mifune, Danzo didn't need eye contact, because his eye was covered up. And as soon as somebody told Mifune what was going on,
he figured
the
it out.
effects of the genjutsu ended. It also seemed like he needed to concentrate.
It kind of makes sense, though, because when you think about how Obito's eyes, the Kamui's work differently there, it kind of is consistent.
Right? Like, he needed to send the chakra to his eye, which isn't something the Crow needed to do, because Itachi just lit that bitch up and killed it immediately. So it seemed like a thing that was just permanently active after it was cast, whereas Danzo needed to maintain his. And then as soon as somebody noticed and told Mifune about it, Mifune was like fine from the genjutsu, and Danzo didn't even try it again. It's almost like it wouldn't have worked. So the eyes might function differently. I'm almost like 100% confident that they do, actually, based on all of this circumstantial evidence. So I don't even think it would really work on Obito, right? Like, he would, I guess, try to get him to like back down, and then Obito would leave and then like come back, you know, like
it's really weird. And I'll say this, it's also like a bit questionable. I was gonna say like Izanagi, but we don't know if Obito's carrying it at that time. And it's a little bit, you know, you kind of have to like headcanon that, so I don't want to say that. It's just that like Obito really shows no fear against Kodo and Matsukami, and it's like I actually like the theory you brought forth, where it's like they fundamentally like differ in what they do and stuff, and how they function. I think that's a really good one. And to even take it a step further, like, you know, we were talking about the Nine Tails, you know, because there is a bit of dialogue from Obito that like, oh, Danzo's getting ready to control the Nine Tails. We don't know how he was gonna do that with like Hashirama in his arm or his face, and like maybe he was like looking for like a Senju DNA boosted genjutsu for the Nine Tails, or he was gonna sprout wood to control Naruto as he was evolving. We just don't know. The way I perceive it, it's like he was more likely probably gonna try and suppress Naruto himself, because he was even trying to restrain Naruto in the village. Didn't want him to leave, so I imagine he was probably gonna snake Naruto in some way. As like controlling the full Nine Tails seems a bit out of his control, in my opinion. Maybe you could argue that.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
Yeah. So I don't think he like clears either or, and he's just not capable. But he is interesting to talk about, because it's almost like he was preparing for this kind of eventuality, by the dialogue discussed by him by Obito.
Yeah. But like another thing that kind of supports that he would lose here is he doesn't seem to think that he could beat Pain.
Right.
Like, because he doesn't interfere. He just lets Pain fuck up the village. Right?
That's true.
But at the same time, he also seems like maybe he has a plan to handle Pain. So I don't know. That's like unclear. Like I don't really know why he stabbed the messenger frog.
I always interpret it as like he's like just because I think they mention it like he wants the village to be weakened. He wants people to question Tsunade after this, like so he could come in and be like, listen, I would have personally never let that happen. Just me,
maybe.
Guys. But, hey man, what can you say? But yeah, he definitely it's a little weird to talk about, because he never really intervenes against Pain.
Yeah, he doesn't try to fight Pain, which he probably would if he thought he could.
Yeah.
So next up, we have Jiraiya as a Hokage candidate. And I might get in trouble for saying this, but I think that Jiraiya is weaker than all 7 of the Hokage, Tsunade included. Because, like, don't get me wrong, like, Jiraiya is strong, but Tsunade was, like, fighting.
I don't know. I kind of disagree with that, but okay.
Damaging Madara.
Agreed.
Yeah.
You know,
she, like, punched a hole in it, and it turned out to be a wood clone, but it, like, you know, I feel like the actual Madara would have also gotten a pretty serious injury if he took the hit directly, and she was like, blowing up his Susanoo and stuff, throwing it around. At best, you can say Jiraiya's like relative to Tsunade, and we already know that she doesn't have a chance. So there's just no way, especially because Jiraiya's not going to start in Sage Mode. He's going to need more time than I think he even has to enter Sage Mode. I think he straight up loses before he even gets to. So, I think Jiraiya just gets cooked here.
Yeah, Mr. Gamakin is not piecing up the Nine Tails. I don't know who these saying that, but it's not happening. He's not.
I mean, I agree he wouldn't succeed.
Next up is Orochimaru, and we'll use Orochimaru from when he was a Hokage candidate, which was shortly before the start of the series. We don't even know if he had the Edo Tensei Hokage at this point, and it's probably safe to say that he didn't, because this seems like something that he tried to develop specifically because of the mind games he could play with Hiruzen using it.
Yeah.
And so this would just be like, at best, we'll say Chunin exams Orochimaru type of stats, right? Where he's like able to fight Hiruzen and is a little bit stronger. Yes. Well, old Hiruzen is weaker than the version of Hiruzen we said would be fighting the Nine Tails, so Orochimaru also gets beat up. The only one that even has a chance is the one from the War Arc after Sage Kabuto was defeated.
Okay.
And he would still lose unless you give him the Edo Hokage, who, like, don't even listen to him anyway.
Yeah.
And so, like, if Orochimaru shows up with the Zetsu sacrifice Edo Hokage, then they would win, but that's not really... that's kind of, like, dishonestly answering the question. That goes against the spirit of, like, could Orochimaru
himself
do it with his arsenal? Because, again, those Hokage weren't listening to him. Yeah. Hashirama could have snapped out at any time. So, I'm not going to give Orochimaru the W on this one.
Nah, not at all. You pretty much said it. It's kind of a no-brainer situation here. Like, there's nothing really to say to it.
Yeah. Next up, we have EMS Sasuke. Do you want to go ahead and introduce this?
So we'll be talking about the EMS Sasuke that kind of pulls up with on the battlefield and, like, you know, it's kind of like, I'm gonna be Hokage. Obviously,
we're stretching the definition of Hokage candidate at this point.
Yeah.
You know, we just figured it would be some fun.
And I'll say this:
I mean, he'd be able to use his Sharingan to suppress the Nine Tails, wouldn't he?
I'll start off by saying, like, that Sasuke actually does have a lot of options against the Nine Tails. You could argue he lights up the Nine Tails with the Matarasu, kind of like burning down its hide, you know, possibly even killing it to a point it has to regenerate, just like he did the Eight Tails. Someone brought up the fact that, like, the Nine Tails might be able to roar, and the Amaterasu that's forming might get blown around the village as well. Like, that's an interesting take. But he does have some options with the Nine Tails. He also, you could maybe argue he might be able to rip the control from Obito with his Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan.
That's what I was thinking.
That might be a little bit of a stretch, but it could be a possibility as well. The problem is that this Sasuke, just like a lot of these characters, isn't really, like, capable of dealing with the surprise attack from Obito. He's not really that tier above to deal with Obito at this point. In my opinion, the only time you could really say, like, you could argue for this Sasuke is, like, when he's fighting against Jubito, acclimating to that point, and after he ditches, like, Jugo and like the Naruto's chakra, like, uses, like, the perfect Susanoo. If you think he has that, like, that Sasuke that doesn't really fight anybody after the fact, that's the only version, like able to be discussed here or can be talked about. But it doesn't help that Obito also hard counters the Susanoo, which is Sasuke's main offense at this point. He's able to just combo it through it. A lot of Sasuke, he's gonna just, like, pull up, start shooting arrows. None of it's gonna really work. So I actually do think that Sasuke would perform quite well against the Nine Tails. I think he does have some options he could do against it. It's just, again, like, he doesn't really have too much for Obito himself. And it's like, we do see when you're getting Kamui,
Kamui's just so broken.
You can't really, like, edge your way out of it. Like, you can't really just escape it. It's not like Kakashi's Kamui at the beginning of Shippuden where you can, like, force your way out of it. It's just not the case. And again, the only Sasuke you could argue is, like, the strongest version, which is not the one we're using. We're using the one that, like, gave that declaration. That Sasuke still needs to adapt. And even with that Sasuke, it's debatable. It's not even as clear cut.
Yeah.
Just, again, because of the clear counter. What do you got to add to that?
I think that there's probably a good chance that he could take out the Nine Tails with Amaterasu, because even if the Nine Tails somehow, like, blows it away or whatever, he has Kagetsuchi to redirect those flames. Because any flames that are on the battlefield, Sasuke could just move with Kagetsuchi. So I think that the Nine Tails just doesn't really have, like, an answer for that. Like, I guess while he's on fire, he could shoot a Biju bomb, and that would blow up any defense that Sasuke can manifest. But, like, aside from that, I think he's actually, like, good just because... And it's not like Sasuke's stronger than the Nine Tails. It's just that Amaterasu is crazy. It's a Mangekyo Sharingan ability. Yeah. And most of the time when Sasuke uses it, it's against people who just have ways of, like, maneuvering around it or nullifying it. Like, for example, Nagato was able to, like, absorb it against Itachi. Madara was able to, like, take off his armor when it got put on him.
The Raikage removed his arm.
The Raikage straight up cut off his arm to stop it from killing him. Like, that type of thing. So I think that, like, the Nine Tails would probably go down, because, like, the only time we see Amaterasu, like, truly connect with somebody, they just, like, the Eight Tails just straight up gets cooked by it.
He's done.
Yeah.
It's over. Yeah.
It would take Obito showing up and, like, sucking away the flames of Amaterasu, which would leave him open to getting attacked by Sasuke, so I think he would just have to leave it. But like you said, there's just no way that Sasuke would be fast enough to hit Obito or stop himself from getting pulled into Kamui. So I think that, yeah, like you said, that's just where the conversation ends. It would be a cool fight to watch, but Obito would pack him up pretty quickly.
Yeah, I agree. Obito is just a pretty distinct tier above.
Next up, we have Fugaku.
Okay.
So this one will probably be short because Fugaku probably has a good counter to Obito's control of the Nine Tails, because like the way people talk about him, he's called Wicked Eye.
Yeah, like it was always implied that he would be able to control the Nine Tails. Like,
and in the novel, he seems pretty confident that he could tame the Nine Tails as well.
Yeah.
So maybe he would be able to wrestle Obito's control
over it. Yeah.
I'm fine with granting him that for this. He would just steal the Nine Tails and then fight Obito. The problem is that Fugaku's apparently, like, weaker than Shisui in the novel, and Shisui loses to Danzo.
Yeah.
So, like, granted, you know, Shisui does get surprise attacked by,
poison,
by, like,
yeah.
the bugs and stuff, but he can't even react with Koto Amatsukami in time. So, like, I don't know, like, maybe Shisui is actually just crazy and, like that guy, but it's like base Danzo.
Yeah.
I don't know. And if you use certain anime filler or like the version of the events from Storm Revolution, it's specifically the anime filler version though. Danzo just bullies him, man.
Oh my God.
It's so bad. He actually like beats him up. So it depends on which version of Shisui you want to use. But if you think Shisui is some crazy like fastest in the verse level character, which he's definitely not, but if you think that he's like way above where he is and he only lost to Danzo because of the surprise attack, then it's kind of hard to put a ceiling on Fugaku. If you take that anime filler into consideration, it's a completely different story. But I'd say that like Fugaku's just featless, so it's kind of weird to like give him the benefit of the doubt and be like, yeah, he'd be able to beat Obito. He'd be able to stop himself from being pulled into this alternate dimension by Obito's Mangekyo Sharingan.
It's just, it's not indicative. And like you said, even if you want to go off like the anime filler, right? The fact that Shisui couldn't react to Izanagi, which to be fair, like Sasuke didn't sense it, or like Kerin couldn't sense it when they're fighting as well. Like maybe you argue that, but that all that displays is that these types of surprise attacks are still effective against Mangekyo Sharingan users, and is very consistent with like this type of strength in the verse at this time. That's all that means. So, you know, it's not even like to throw a stray at Shisui. It's just that like, you know, him being stronger than Fugaku, and then like, you know, the way these events play out, it also doesn't help that Fugaku literally does nothing at all. No fights.
Yeah, we don't see anything, so we can't really base. Yeah.
That makes this very hard to determine. And it's hard to give him like the benefit of the doubt. So we're being generous with the Nine Tails, but against Obito, you just have to make too many leaps and bounds, in my opinion, to give him that.
Now the final Hokage candidate that we are going to
this could be funny. Is it Shikamaru?
Feature here before the end of the video is Kiba. This is also stretching the definition of candidate.
What?
Because, you know, he just said that he was going to be Hokage, especially with his one shadow clone. I don't really see what Obito or the Nine Tails, I don't see what they're supposed to do about him when he makes the three-headed dog.
They don't know about like rotating Fang over Fang. The thing you need to understand is that like this technique is not stoppable. It was only stopped in the series too many times. It was stopped actually consistently. So you got to understand this is a very strong technique. He's gonna shred right through the Nine Tails hide. He's
it's just gonna like they're gonna like carry and like absorb the power of the tailed beast bomb when the Nine Tails shoots at them.
Yeah.
Like, Kiba's gonna be like, let's go Akamaru. They're gonna drill into the tailed beast bomb and like absorb its power and then just kill Kurama immediately. And if Obito is foolish enough not to immediately retreat, he's going to try to pull them into Kamui. And maybe like Akamaru will like pee on him or something.
Marking.
Yeah, but like I mean, there's just too many wing cons for Kiba and none for Obito. I mean, like I don't see what, because you know he puts Kiba in Kamui, then Kiba just comes out, then then what, you know?
I think like people need to understand that like Obito is getting peed on metaphorically and physically at this point. It's just it's a different level of disrespect at this point. He's actually gonna smell him from the Kamui dimension. So and if you're wondering where like some of these feats are coming from, they're from the novel. You wouldn't have read them. Don't worry about the novel.
Kiba
Well, also, you know, there's also the fact that Hinata who was hopelessly in love with Naruto, supported Kiba's bid for Hokage, which would scale him above Naruto, who we did give the edge to. So I think that is pretty conclusive there. So the only people featured in the video who got the W were Hashirama, Naruto, and Kiba.
Yeah.
Let us know anything that you'd like to see us do like this again in the future. Let us know if you disagree with any of our picks. I think that Tobirama is probably going to be the most controversial one, like I said. But maybe some of you will like really want to insist that like Jiraiya would be able to do it or something. I don't know.
No, it's Tobirama. Like the thing is, like, I understand why people would say that. Like, he's very strong and he's very relevant here. It's just a simple matter of arsenals. That's
he doesn't have the for that moment. Doesn't have what is needed to pull it off.
all it is. It's just one of those things, which is why, like, you know, it's Naruto. There's different characters, different arsenals. Like, this stuff can be talked about. So yeah. And then, you know, Hashirama, Naruto, Kiba, all speak for themselves.
Yep. So if you guys haven't already, go check out TG's channel, Thunder God. I will leave a link to it in the description. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel. I post a lot of Naruto videos. Got some One Piece videos incoming as well. Maybe some other stuff like Hunter x Hunter or whatever if you guys are interested. But yeah, if you made it all the way to the end here, thanks a lot, because this was a behemoth of a video. And yeah, take care, you guys. Later.
Bye.
Well, that was fun. I like how they did the funny bit at the end as well. That was cool. That was fun. Thunder God seems fun. I'm sure I've seen Six. I think Six has done a video with Thunder God before, or someone has. I've seen him. He's appeared. He has made an appearance somewhere in my reactions somewhere. But that was cool. That was a fun video to see. Interesting discussion. Kamui is just absolutely broken. Thank you to my patrons. If you want to have your name at the end of every video I upload, links in the description to the Patreon page. $1 a month is our support channel. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you guys very much for that. Thank you all for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys do this? Click like, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave comments down below. Let me know that I should watch this in future videos. I'll see you guys next time.